All right, and I'm back. I think I probably will have told you this by the time you view this video, but the entire district math teachers are getting together, and we are going to be meeting with the county ESC and talking over a lot of things on the changes in education and how we need to be addressing those changes. And so, with last Thursday and Friday, actually 2 weeks ago now, you guys did a great job by working through the work that I gave you, and so I just appreciate that. Those of you who are working hard and want to continue to encourage you to work hard. Those who aren't taking advantage of it, you're in high school now, and this is big time, and so you always have a chance to change. So I'm going to remind you of that. Anyways, since I know how much you guys love my jokes, okay, no need to laugh. I found a joke that I wanted to share with you guys, and so I'm going to do that here. I thought it was kind of cute. Yeah, Robbie, I said cute. Anyways, an engineer, a physicist, and a mathematician are staying in a hotel. The engineer wakes up and smells smoke. He goes out in the hallway, sees a fire, so he fills a trash can from his room with water and douses the fire, and he goes back to bed. Later, the physicist wakes up and smells the smoke. He opens the door and sees a fire in the hallway. He walks down the hall to a fire hose, and after calculating the flame's velocity, distance, and water pressure, trajectory, etc., extinguishes the fire with the minimum amount of water and energy needed. Later, the mathematician wakes up, smells smoke. He goes to the hall, sees the fire, and then the fire hose. He thinks for a moment, and then exclaims, "Aha! A solution exists," and then goes back to bed. So, anyways, I thought you guys would find that funny. Hopefully you did. But what we're talking about today, percent increase and percent decrease. And so, when you are someday have a job and you want to calculate the raise that your boss has given you to make sure that's a fair raise or that it's rising with the inflation, then you can do that. Or maybe you see that your car, its value, it depreciates an awful lot. We talked about that the other day within the first 3 years of owning that car. And so it's important that, I don't buy new cars, okay? One, I can't afford them, but two, they just depreciate in value so much. And so we're going to be looking at both percent increase and percent decrease. So here's what I'd like you to do on your paper there. For the percent increase, I want you to write down how many times greater something grows okay, and that something could be anywhere from maybe some stocks that you've purchased, maybe a home value, maybe your salary, okay? So that something, I'm just using generalities there, from an original amount. Okay, now this grows here. I'm going to highlight this, okay? Another word for that is to appreciate. If something appreciates in value, okay, it's growing, and so at the same time increases in value, okay? All right, and another word for appreciation, okay, I appreciate you. I appreciate all my students in pre-algebra, of course, appreciate, right? All right, it is inflation, okay? And I think that's an inflation, okay? And so, it's a term that is used, with a lot of things. Anything that you buy in America, it's probably going to inflate. Now, the average inflation in America, they usually say on a yearly basis, is about 3%, okay? And so here's a question for you. If you're at a job and you are not earning bonuses that are at inflation, then you are actually, that's not a question, actually it's a statement, you're actually earning less the next year. Because if everything that you're buying increased by 3% from one year to the next, and your salary didn't increase with at least that 3% as well, then you're making less because you're still you're paying more out to everything you're buying, okay? But you're pocketing less because you're having to pay more out. I know that I worded that kind of poorly, but I hope that made sense to you. You want to at least increase in value by at least 3% a year, okay? Percent decrease is how many times something decreases in value from an original amount. Okay, from an original amount decreasing. Okay, and so I don't know if anyone knows this. What's the opposite of appreciation? If something's increasing or inflating, the opposite of inflation. Okay, the opposite of appreciation is depreciation. Okay, depreciation. It's going down in value. Okay, we talked the other day about how when you invest in stocks, you need to invest for over a long period of time, and the hope is that as it goes up and down, which it will, okay, that it's slowly climbing, kind of like a stairs. All right, and so when we talk about the depreciation of a stock, okay, when you purchase a stock, you have a share in the company, so you purchase shares actually. Each share has a certain value. As that value of that company increases, the value of its share increases. As the value of the company decreases, the value of the share decreases. And so, you know, if you have paid X amount of dollars for a certain number of shares, if each share decreases in value, now your overall value is less than what you actually purchased for the stock. And so that's kind of how stocks work. Now, the good thing about the calculation of both percent increase and percent decrease is it's the exact same, okay? It's the difference, which means to subtract, over the original. Okay? Difference over the original. All right, so let's see how this actually plays out within. If I go ahead and read this first one, during the summer, Mr. Couples tries to do construction jobs to help subsidize his teaching income. Now, before I went to college, I would have never known what really subsidize means, but basically I try to bring in extra income so that my family can have a certain lifestyle, okay? It's not a lavish lifestyle, but it's just, you know, with the money I try to bring in, I usually try to put right into the girls' college fund, okay? And so we're subsidizing our current income by adding some extra income somewhere else. During the summer of 2010, Mr. Couples was paid $12 an hour. During the summer of 2011, he was paid $12.50 an hour. What was the percent of increase? So notice I did go up in value from one year to the next, from the summer of 2010 to the summer of 2011 in his hourly wage for the summer. So what I'm going to do, again, it's the difference, and so I'm going to take $12.50 minus $12 over the original amount, which the original, the first year I was working, 2010, okay, $12, okay? And so if we work that out, the difference obviously is 50 cents over the original $12. And if you go ahead and put that in your calculator, you're going to get something like this, 0.0416 repeating, okay? Now obviously that's not the percent, it's just the decimal. So if you remember, to convert decimal to percent, we're going to move it two places. And so the end product, 4.16 repeating percent. Now if you want to put 4.2%, that's fine with me, okay? I just want to make sure you know how to calculate percent increase and percent decrease, okay? Now, before we get started on this next one, actually let's go ahead and flip over to the back side and take a look at the next one. All right. Now, my dates are a little mixed up here. It actually doesn't start to show until down here. This should be 2009, and this should be 2010. Okay, so I'm actually referring back to my previous problem here. And so as we look here, during the summer of 2009, Mr. Couple did some work for the same company that he currently works for during the summer. So I kind of had a trial period with the company. That summer, he worked 3 days helping roof a house and was paid $20 per hour. Ooh, nice. Made some good money that year. Those 3 days. What was the percent of decrease? Percent of decrease from the hourly wage from the summer of 2009, where I made $20 an hour, to the summer of 2010, where I only made $12 an hour. Now, what happened there? Did I really go down in value that much between 2009 and 2010? I mean, I know I'm a year older, but did I really become as that ineffective in my job? The answer is no. It is just that my boss, one, he didn't know my actual, what I was worth. And so after those 3 days, he's like, this guy doesn't know as much as I thought he did. So, he's actually worth $12 an hour, which is completely fine with me. He's been very generous to me over the years. And so, so as we look here, you want to take the difference over the original. So the original was $20. That was in 2009. In 2010, the next year, 2010, I made $12 an hour. And the original was actually in 2009, so it's over 20. Okay? I think the hardest thing when you're doing percent increase and percent decrease is making sure that you figure out what the original was. Okay? Don't be confused on what the original was. Figure out what that is first. So, if we go ahead and work this out here, $7.50 was the difference. The original was 20. And that works out to be 0.375. Okay? Now remember, we're going to move the decimal 2 places. So I earned almost 38% less next year per hour than I did that year per hour. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, that's a huge percent decrease. But just think about this. The next year, I was working 40 plus hours, whereas opposed to that year, I only worked 3 days. Okay? So I made a lot more money that next year, even though I had to work, quite a few more hours to get the same amount of pay per hour. So, all right. Right now, I would probably pause your movie, read the story about Brady, and then see if you can solve it yourself. So take a moment and see if you can do that one on your own. All right, so hopefully you paused the movie. I know some of you probably won't, and that's fine. I think it's a simple enough concept that you don't need to watch this whole thing through. But Brady, I'm so proud of you, man. You're going to go from being a wimpy freshman to doing some serious push-ups. All right. So from here, Brady purchased a Bowflex. Ooh, I got a typo again. Sorry, Brady. I do know that you are a he. Before Brady purchased his Bowflex, he could do 15 consecutive push-ups. Not bad, as long as they're good form. I hate in junior high when I have kids out for football, and all they do is put their arms down and bob their head. You know what I'm talking about. That just drives me nuts. Don't be a cheater. After a month and a half of working out with the Bowflex, Brady can now do 35 push-ups. Had a baby, Brady. What was the percent of increase in push-ups that Brady can do? Okay. All right, so from here, if we take the difference, 35 minus 15, over the original, which was 15, we should be able to calculate the percent of increase. The difference between the two is 20 push-ups over the original, which was 15 push-ups. And so from there, the printout on the calculator should say 1.3 repeating. And so you can actually put down, moving the decimal 2 places. And if you remember, we've talked about that this year, 0.3 repeating is just 1/3. And that's the answer there, 133 1/3%. All right, so good job, Brady. Keep up the good work. All right, so what do I need you guys to do over the next couple of minutes before you leave class? I think it's possible to get your entire homework finished, and here is what your homework is. I would like you to do page 292, numbers 20 to 25. Okay. And so if you have questions on that, you can come back and talk to me tomorrow. But I think that you guys should have enough time to get those 6 problems done that you should be able to hand them into your sub at the end of the period. Okay, so go ahead and get to work, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you and good night.